So yeah, by the time I'm making this video, or definitely by the time it comes out, Decaying Winter has probably already been re-uploaded back to Roblox. So that kind of makes this video worthless, right? Well, no. I've already put too much work into it, so I might as well just release the video now. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy, and yeah. Also, thank you so much for 7,000 subscribers, since the script was written before I hit that milestone, and now we have it. So that's just really cool to see all your support. At 7.5k, I'll put out some super special video or something like that. So just wait for that, like and subscribe if you haven't, and without further ado, let's move on to the video. Decaying Winter is a game I'm sure we are all familiar with. It's definitely one of the most popular sleeper hits on Roblox, and in general was one of the most well-made games on the site. It was also incredibly unique. It was a multiplayer PvE game, which by itself was rare to see on Roblox. But it also had different classes akin to a hero shooter, as well as a complex scavenging and looting component. On top of that, it had a very complex but intriguing set of lore and storyline behind it, that many, including myself, have tried and failed to solve. This game was truly, in every sense of the word, a masterpiece. But now, it's gone. As of May 9th, 2023, Decaying Winter is officially closed down by Roblox themselves, most likely due to the subject matter of the game. Now, I'm not really going to dwell on much whether or not the game should have been closed, as much as I think it's stupid that the game got shut down for just having a cigarette and liquor bottle items. Meanwhile, other Roblox games can show you in great detail the individual chunks of flesh of a Roblox character as you blast their face off with a sawed-off shotgun. Yeah. Technically, the game did break Roblox's terms of service, and when there's rules, you probably shouldn't be breaking them. Regardless, I'm not going to apologize for the fun I've had while playing this for the past 2 years, and in today's video, I will be recounting the entire history of the game. This is going to be likely one of my largest videos yet, and will be split into 3 distinct sections and styles of video. First, I will be giving an overall history of the game, talking about its prior games or variations or whatever you want to call it, basically explaining how we got from Untitled Melee game to Decaying Winter. Secondly, I will be basically doing a retrospective review of the game, talking about everything I loved and the tiny things that could have been better. Third and finally, I will try my absolute best to try and summarize the lore of the game. Bear with me on that front because I tried and failed to do that like twice, but I think I got it down now. So anyways, before we jump right in, please be sure to like and subscribe. We are well on the road to 7.5k subs, and it would be really awesome to reach that milestone. Also, leave a comment of your favorite Decaying Winter moment or memory. Now with that out of the way, let's do our first dive into the history of Decaying Winter. Decaying Winter was released in mid-2021 by the developer Arch Eximus. However, it was not the first game to use its now iconic and unique combat engine. The first game was called Untitled Melee Game, or UMG for short. The game released in late 2019 and was a PvP sandbox game of sorts. While it didn't gain much traction, it still grew itself a sizable little audience and community, amassing over 1 million visits by the time of this video. The next game Arch released, known as Survival of the Fittest in early 2020, was essentially a remake / more realized concept of what UMG was. The game was now more round-based, had more items, more abilities, more events, and some secret lore to boot. It was also a bit more popular than UMG, gaining over 1.2 billion visits by the time of this video. So things were certainly going well. Next, of course, was the release of Decaying Winter, which apparently pushed the UMG engine to its limits, with it being a larger, wave-based, class-based looter shooter. The game saw massive success when compared to its predecessors, and even got itself a few updates, most notably the incredibly large and expansive Last Stranded's update, which overhauled the map, added many new secret areas, a new game mode, new classes, new weapons, new enemies, bosses. Pretty much everything that was added was just amazing. But of course, with every great thing must come something terrible, which was the banning of the game, due to it breaking Roblox's terms of service in a few aspects. Thankfully, the game already had a backup place made called Last Stranded Standalone. However, due to the lead developer not wanting to continue working on Decaying Winter due to the engine being hard to use, and the fact that it was basically only a matter of time before Decaying Winter would eventually be taken down again, the game essentially was on its last leg, and now earlier this month, Decaying Winter's story has come to a close. Oh yeah, editor's note, the game's back now. Anyways, now let's move on to part 2, the review. Starting an entire review of a game halfway through a video is kinda hard, so bear with me on this one. I guess the first thing everyone will say about Decaying Winter is that it was hard. Like seriously. I'll probably see some former sweats in the comments going, oh, this game was so easy. No. I've seen even professional speedrunners of the game die to the most simple of enemies because of how difficult the game was, combined with its randomly generated stuff. And despite what I've said, it's not an unfair type of difficulty like some games. Deep Woken. Mostly because this game doesn't have players ganking you 24/7. Unless they main Blitzer. But aside from that, since PvP isn't a thing, that means that the difficulty doesn't come from being constantly sniped by a high-level player, it actually comes from the fact that the game is actually difficult and provides a good challenge. And my god does Decaying Winter deliver in that front. Since every night the loot and enemy camps are randomly generated, one night you could walk into an area and get all kinds of cool things, the next it's swarming with sledgers. This type of gameplay is really what kept the players on their toes as they traversed the map. Also, the different types of scavengers, especially introduced in the later updates, really helped make things more enjoyable. You can't beat every enemy the same way, and combine that with the fact that different playstyles of different classes means different gameplay makes every combat scenario unique. That's another thing about this game. Despite its insane difficulty, the players provided so many things to kit themselves out with, a lot of it before even spawning in. The classes are all amazing and all have unique playstyles thanks to how they all work. In most other Roblox games, you'd have to level up or something like that in order to unlock the classes one by one, or just buy them somehow, usually with Robux. However, this is not the route that's taken in Decaying Winter. Once the player reaches level 5, all classes but 3 are unlocked by default. All the classes are roughly the same power level too, making no one class truly the meta, although we all know the best class is Blitzer. The other 3 classes are unlocked by doing little quests whilst out in the world. I really like this, and if they made the quests a bit easier in general, I would have liked if all the classes were unlocked this way, through these little quests. But whatever. Most of the auxiliary equipments are unlocked through quests anyways. These things were like mini classes that range from actually useless to game-changing. I do wish that more of these things were useful for you to use anything other than throwing knives or maybe the cigarette. But I digress. Just the amount of loot variety was staggering too. There are over 100 different guns, each using different ammo types that you can find. In addition to 50 or so melee weapons, 20 or so traps, bow and arrows, medical equipment, stimulants, medicine, food, blueprints, and scraps. If you had extra materials, you could bring them to a scrapper to get food. You could bring them to a scrapper to get scrap, which could be used to make blueprint weapons and gear, which were usually pretty OP. The scavenging and resource gathering was easily my favorite part of the game, and using what I found to defend from the waves was always so satisfying when things went well. Last Stranded was also pretty fun too. It definitely leaned more into that wave-based survival game since the scavenging was a lot less prevalent, but I really do love the fact that you can just build up your base. It is just so cool to see everything come together, even when you die horribly to the frickin' RegCon wave, whatever. So yeah, now onto the lore. The lore of Decaying Winter is certainly confusing. I mean, I wouldn't have made over 3+ videos on it if that wasn't the case, but I'll try my best to be broad and concise. Anyways, the lore of the series revolves around a group known as the Agency, which may or may not have ties to some organizations from Arch's previous games, but whatever. The Agency has sent you and a team of other specially trained agents to a strange planet called Eden 227, and for the next 10 nights, the players have to survive, uncover what happened to the previous team of agents as shown in the Echo logs, and contend with groups of humans who are already on the planet, known as the Scavengers. There is no super clear explanation as to how the Scavengers ended up on Eden, but my personal theory is that they were brought there to compete in survival of the fittest style games, and were overseen by the previous group of agents. This is supported by the fact that the maps are pretty much the same between the two games. Also the amount of cameras and stuff. But either when the planet's star died, or when the RegCon appeared. By the way, the RegCon are these like demon parasite things. I don't know, it's not very clear. I think they're demon parasite things. They all kind of collectively went insane and started doing all sorts of things that we see them doing now. Oh yeah, and there's also the Raiders, who live in the castle and are led by Sledge Queen. There's also a cult that worships the RegCon, that lives in the walls that you have to infiltrate in order to access the true ending. The lore of The Last Stranded is far less complicated. Simply, instead of the agents being left for just 10 days, they were stranded, and they now have to hold out for as long as possible. Now, Last Stranded's canonicity was always sort of strange to me. It could have been a prequel of sorts, showing the events of the previous group before our own came, and how they got massacred. It could also take place after the events of the main game, perhaps as a timeline where the group got killed off since the scavs now inhabit the old base. Or it could just be a non-canon thingy, since there are a lot of memey or just plain wacky things that happen in this mode. I have no clue. In conclusion, Decaying Winter was truly one of the best games on Roblox. It was extremely challenging but incredibly rewarding. The gameplay was satisfying, unique, the story and the world was intriguing, and the classes were all fun and different. And the game was just endlessly replayable. Although I'd say it was taken from us too soon, sadly its termination was inevitable. But just because it's gone, doesn't mean the memories are. Those will stay with us forever. Oh yeah, and I guess Decaying Winter 2, since it's back now! But anyways, that's all I've got for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I'd really like to hit 7.5k by the beginning of June, and your support would really be appreciated. See you all next time, and bye.